am an artist and you may know me for doing mostly digital stuff. But there was a time when my main was actually watercolor. And that time was about 1 year ago. Wow. So today I want to go back to that for a little bit because I just really simply miss it. Okay, so I began with our companion for today's video, the emotional support paper bunny, yes. And also a vision, or rather a new technique I really wanted to try. And this is something all about layering, like lots and lots of them. What I wanted to do was painting a lot of really thin and transparent layer of color on top of each other. You know, just letting them build up and to see how they all gonna interact with each other and what kind of effect they gonna create in the result. And yeah, that kind of stuff. And another thing I wanted to do, or rather don't want to do, is a lot of mixings. And I also planned to use a limited palette of just 3 colors, you know, the primary colors of yellow, red, and blue, the classic stuff. More information about the colors and also all the other stuff I used for today's video will be in the description box down below. So if you want to know more about that, you can check that out. So in conclusion, the 3 things I wanted to try is layering, no mixing, and limited color palette. So I decided to try this new technique on some eyes. Like, why? I don't know. Maybe it's just something I'm the most comfortable with in terms of watercolor paintings, and I also like them too. If you see, I've seen some of my stuff before, I think you may be quite familiar with them. So before we actually talk about the result of the first eye, let me talk a little bit more about what kind of step I actually did for all of these paintings. You know, just in case there's somebody who may not be that familiar with watercolor and also watching this. So the first step I did was I mixed a lot of water into the paint, and we have, for lack of a better word, a really watery mix over here. And for the first few layers, I would paint a lot of this mixture on the paper, almost like dumping them on there, and it was almost like a puddle of water on there actually. And next, I would use a hairdryer to make sure that everything was completely dry before actually moving on to the next layer. And I will repeat those 2 steps for basically the whole thing. Just paint and dry, paint and dry, paint and dry, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's basically what I'm gonna do for every single painting you're gonna see. And the thing that I mostly experimented around with just the color ratio between yellow, red, and blue, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah. So about the first eye, well, things started a little bit rough here. For this one, I actually did keep things quite faithful to my initial plan of doing almost no color mixing at all, and just increased the intensity of each layer to build up the value that I wanted. But the result was definitely a kind of look, and also definitely not what I wanted. You know, this one looked almost like a photo filter of some kind. Well, actually, now looking back, I think it looks somewhat fun, but at the time, well, I was not impressed, to say the least. So yeah, after this, I realized I had to do some amount of color mixing to achieve what I wanted in my mind. Speaking of what I wanted, here it is, you know, this part on some tests that I actually did before going in today's video, because I try to be somewhat responsible for doing something completely new while I haven't done watercolor for a very, very long time. So yeah, so look at this, that is what I wanted. So the second eye, well, because the first one really didn't work out, so I tried again, and this time I did try some color mixing. You know, the first thing that I did was a really transparent layer of yellow, and then I mixed red and blue together and used that to paint the actual eye. And once again, the result was looking finish in hindsight. Like when I'm looking back now, I think it does look fine, but it's still not what I was looking for at the time, so yeah. What I wanted is this, even though it's just something that happened by accident, but I want to recreate the accident intentionally. So the third painting, third time's a charm, right? We are definitely gonna get this in this one try. So this one is a pair of eyes, or rather 1.5 of the eyes, I guess, because I think it's cool to actually paint one in really high details and left the other in just some vague suggestion of the brush strokes, or something really fancy, people would say. And what actually drew me in the first about this reference photo is actually, the really strong emotional expression on the eye. And I really wanted to focus on the eyebrow especially. But I really don't know if I actually did pull that off. But, well, what matters most is the intention, So this one actually got some really fun color on there. Like halfway, I think it's actually really close to the vision that I had in my mind. But in the later half, I really don't know what happened. But it turned out a little bit weird, and I don't think that actually what I wanted. So once again, it was okay looking, but still, because of some weird thing that happened in the later half of the painting, this turned out to be not actually what I wanted. And at that point, I actually was really tired, and I decided to call it a day and went to sleep. And I think the bunny was probably thinking the same thing, because it was also very tired of working extra time for that day. So it's the next day, and even though I made something look pretty okay yesterday, they were still not what I envisioned in my mind, which is something I believe that's totally possible and achievable, by the way. So me being me, I started again with another eye and the same first coat of yellow, because this is what I did in my testing, and I believe yellow is what gonna get us there, get us to what we want. Next, I used some blue to build up some value, and for some reasons, I didn't use much blue after that at all. Instead, I focused more on red and yellow, so that may be the reason why the final result looked completely different from the first few layers that I laid down. And as we discovered from yesterday, we know that we have to do some color mixing. So I decided to take that up a notch and mix all three primary colors together to make black, and use that to build up deeper value faster in the areas like the lashes and the iris. And the reason being that I felt like it took a little bit long to paint darker values with just layering all three primary colors together. And I was a little bit impatient yesterday, so did I just expose myself to be stubborn and impatient? Wow, what a beautiful qualities to have as an artist. Anyways, here's where I had to be very, very careful though, because this was what I did yesterday with the third painting. And I think the mistake that I did yesterday was that I jumped to use the black a little bit too quick, and I used it a little bit too much too. So that's the reason why in the later half of the painting, all we can see is just two black masks on the eyes, with the eyebrow and the iris. So I think that's the reason why I messed up yesterday. So even though I'm quite impatient, we really have to take things a little bit slow here, so that we are not gonna mess up this time too. So about the result, well, this one, I would say it actually looked really good. Yes, this looked really, really good, but I think you can already guess what I want to say next. This is still not what I wanted. This is still not what I wanted. Yeah, it looks good, don't get me wrong. I will say that again. This looks really, really good. But compared to what I actually wanted, to my original vision, you can see that they are not looking the same. So our journey is gonna continue, and we are not gonna stop here until we have what we wanted. So yeah, it's the fifth try now, and I think we should try to begin with something different other than yellow, because yellow didn't seem to work, so we have to use something else, and red it is. So you can see on the screen that I began with a real thin coat of red as always, and after making sure that was dry, I used some blue to build up some initial value of the eye. And after that, I applied what I think is the only coat of yellow in the whole painting. Maybe after that I did use some yellow in some kind of mixing here and there, but I think this was the only time I ever used a whole coat of yellow on the whole eyes. So yeah, after that one coat of yellow, I start to build up some value using red and blue like separately. And when I felt like things started to be taking shape, I began my color mixing journey. And this was where I had to be really careful not to mix some straight up black to use in the painting, because I think this is where the other painting kind of messed up, quote unquote. As in, it was the reason why they are not what I wanted. So yeah, I had to be really careful here and using some near black but not really black color to use in the lash and the eyebrow area. And looking at this, I think we may have what we wanted. I think we are there. Yes. Like, wow, finally. And I think it's such a beauty, Like, you can clearly see where the primary color is and where they kind of mix up and intertwine and create some color that I didn't initially mix on the palette. They got mixed on the paper just by themselves, layering on top of each other, like the orange over here. Wow, what a magical look. And I love it so much. And wow, finally. And let's just checking out the results, shall we? So after 5 tries, we finally got what we wanted. Well, I finally got what I wanted. I really don't know if you guys want this or not, but well, yeah. And I think that is a sweet reward for being stubborn. Some may say that is perseverance, which is a better expression of, some plain stubbornness, but yeah. And I think I would end this video on a more positive note and don't talk about how I was a little bit overjoyed the next day and created something else that I don't actually really love. And the next one after that is something that I haven't even finished until this very day. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you somewhat enjoy this, and hope you have a great day or night ahead, and see you later.